Hi, everyone. I'm Nancy Kaufman. I would like to present something called Parent Education Program, PEP Talks, and this one is going to be about childhood apraxia of speech and the KSLP methods. I have done these parent education programs for other audiences. Usually they've been live, and I have been an invited speaker. But I wanted to share this presentation with all of you, especially during our Better Speech and Hearing Month and Apraxia Awareness Day. So let me see if I can share my screen and we can get going. See if I can. There we go. So what is childhood apraxia of speech? I think the best way that I know how to describe it is this. CAS is a speech motor communication disorder whereby a child has difficulty executing and or sequencing the oral motor movements necessary to produce and combine consonants and vowels and syllables to form words, and to maintain their motor plans on volitional muscle control, as opposed to automatic utterances that were not planned. And the American Speech and Hearing Association has a formal definition of childhood apraxia of speech, as does Apraxia Kids. So what constitutes best clinical skills in CAS therapy? Well, we want to know that the clinician is warm and engaged with the child. Is the clinician prepared with the child's highly preferred items, toys, and activities for motivation and reinforcement? And are the goals for the session easily presented? Do you know what's being targeted with your child? There should be mass practice upon the goals that are targeted. And you have to, when you're watching, are there a lot of responses gained per target? Is the clinician providing play opportunities? So they should never just be drilling therapy cards. And in the KSLP, they should not be doing that. There are reasons why you would use therapy materials for drill. Usually that's because we can't easily contrive the amount of practice that we need on a given skill level, and we have to go to pictures. But we want to make sure that each SLP is then working through play and the natural environment on the skill areas as well. And is the clinician managing maladaptive behaviors? They should have patience and skill at doing this. They should be keeping the child's interest and attention at all times with their highly preferred toys and activities. Were you provided with a home program, and is it easy to implement? I'm sure that many of the children have many different therapies, and everyone is asking parents and caregivers to do a lot of practice at home. Hopefully they're giving you a way to practice through play and in the natural environment. Is the clinician using multisensory cues? Should be auditory, visual, tactile, to help support the target words. In the KSLP methods, physical tactile cues are usually the last types of cues that we might use. We really want them to be successful with auditory and visual cues mostly. And for the children that have a limited repertoire of consonants and vowels, we might then start with some physical or tactile cues to help them get started. Then we want to fade those. And if the child is struggling with imitation, then he or she is not ready for the KSLP methods. The KSLP methods are a shaping technique where we have to have somebody who can produce vowels and consonants, at least in isolation. And then the KSLP methods will help to get those consonants and vowels combined into full target words, and then eventually into expressive language with phrases and sentences. And there are also some strategies to help children to imitate. If they're not imitators, that's a whole nother conference, but we want to work, we might have to work from gross motor to fine motor and then to speech motor skills, and that would help them to get more on vocal imitation. And then is the clinician teaching some signs? Signs are a great way to get the children up and running on communication, but very often SLPs are teaching signs such as more, want, please, help, and all done. And even though those are initially effective, they start to lose their power. the child walked into my room and signed more, I wouldn't know what they wanted. Then they might scroll to want, they might scroll to please. That always gets at our heartstrings. But we still don't know what the children want. We'd rather teach a one-on-one match to their highly preferred toys and activities so that they can sign cookie and then get a cookie, rather than to sign more or want or help. So again, we're not looking for general signs, but we're looking for specific signs that would then be produced to gain access to that item or activity instead of these general signs. And then what first words are being taught? If the SLP is teaching random words, they may be way too difficult for the child's speech motor coordination. So here's a list of words that would be more appropriate to teach children who struggle to speak, or some of their first words. We might want to consider some simple syllable shapes. So these are just the easiest vowels and consonants, and they are the building blocks of speaking. So reduplicated syllables such as mama, da, da, or even things like what does a sheep say, ba, ba, what does a cow say, moo, moo, or even wah, wah for water, that kind of thing, because it gives them word approximations for being functional in their communication. Other CVC words, hat or boat or bus, maybe consonants that stay the same, but the vowels change on some words like mommy, daddy, puppy. Vowel consonant, up, out, in, on. CV words, hi, my, no, bye. And there are also simple bisyllabic words like happy, bunny, tummy, and even multisyllabic words like banana, potato, tomato. And there are ways to provide cues and fade them so that the children can be successful on these simple syllable shapes. Another list of words to teach are functional requesting words. So these are very powerful and they serve to manipulate the environment. These would be such words as open or off or on or come or go or don't. And when we teach children single words that tell an adult what to do, it's very powerful, and we want to work on those. We want a list of familiar nouns, so maybe apple, and we're going to talk about the fact that children may not be able to fully produce a word, and if they're not stimulable for the vowels and consonants that are contained in the word, we're going to have to find a suitable approximation for that word that acoustically sounds good and is very functional that the listener can understand. We're going to talk about the KSLP methods, which is a top-down approach. It's not bottom-up on the backs of cards, and the backs of cards are only meant to be suggestions, which we will talk about. But once the children can approximate these simple nouns, we can get into two-word combinations by adding an attribute or even talking about the function of that object. So we can go into red apple or big ball, or we can talk about eat apple, blow bubbles, drink water, and some of these words might have to be approximated. The SLPs know about something called phonological processes, and they are the way that children who are typically developing reduce words when they're first starting to talk. So for example, when a child is first saying ball, they may not produce the final L, they may say ba. Instead of saying stop, they might say top. But we know about these natural phonological processes. And for children who struggle to speak, we're going to implement them for the child so that we get to their best approximations on words that are important for them to know and all the target words that we feel are appropriate for them as well. Another list are the children's favorites. Well, we need to know what do they love? Favorite foods, drinks, toys, activities, people and pets, names, favorite places, favorite characters. And these are going to be such random words that we are definitely going to have to figure out what is their best approximations for those words. But in our therapy sessions, we're going to continue to work toward perfection of these words. And then high frequency words. They don't fit the other categories. It may be an exclamation like awesome or wow, or the please or thank yous. If they might be descriptive words like colors, numbers, size, or shape, and then even little linking words if we're working on grammar. We might then have to teach them auxiliary verbs or pronouns. So we want to get our gains on words through play if we can. We want to determine the child's best approximations, or certainly their full words if they can be successful with some supportive cues during their therapy sessions, and get them to learn them and to produce those words for requesting and commenting in the natural environment. And rather than asking open-ended questions, you might want to put the answer desired into the question and then get a yes/no response. So for example, the child's pointing to an apple, we could say, instead of what do you want, which would be open-ended, to saying, do you want an apple? Get a yes response from the child, even if it's just a head nod. And then we're going to help the children to say apple. Or even rather than ask a question that contains the answer, we might just make a statement or a comment. Oh, you want an apple. You would like an apple. And then we can help them to produce apple. And their best approximation for apple might be apbo. Again, those are natural phonological processes that we have used to simplify that word because the children just are not successful with that final L. There may be other reasons why they cannot produce the word apple, and the SLP will help to know what's the best approximation for that particular word. But then in our therapy sessions, we're going to try to gain perfection of that word. We also are going to model correctly, by the way. So we don't say, do you want an apple? Even if that's the child's best approximation, we're going to say, oh, did you want an apple? Here's an apple. Say apple, and then give them the apple. Teaching successive approximations of words is only implemented if the child is not stimulable to accurately produce the consonants, vowels, or syllables within the words that are important for the children's communication. And successive approximations have a lot of research behind them. This is about shaping B.F. Skinner's work from the 50s and 60s. But the clinicians will know what the best approximation is of the target words and then teach them to you so that you can then help the children to say their best approximations, and in the therapy sessions work toward perfection. The KSLP Sign to Talk kits is another way to provide some stimulus items of things that are highly preferred. So Sign to Talk, it's a way to also build communication from sign language as a bridge to vocal skills. But the backs of those cards are also meant to be suggested approximations, just like they are in the kit pictures. And that it's a top-down approach. We're going to ask the children to say the full word, listen to what they say, and then figure out what would be their best way to say that word until we can gain perfection. Again, teach the child the full target word and provide cues for success. And if we're unsuccessful with auditory, visual, tactile cues to gain that word, we're going to need to then figure out what's the best approximation. Again, here are the backs of cards, and they're only suggestions. It's top down, so we might say to the child, say bubble, and then listen to what they say. And if they can't produce that final L, we're going to go to bubbo. Hey, this is a bubble, say bubbo, and help them to say bubbo for bubble, and we're going to model correctly. We might have to go to bu-o or bub-o or just bu. But remember that these are only suggested approximations. There are so many different ways to help children with approximations depending upon what vowels, what consonants, and what syllables they already have in their repertoire. There are instructional videos of how to use my materials on our website, kidspeech.com, and also on northernspeech.com. I also have a webinar through Apraxia Kids. It's called Practice Through Play with the KSLP Methods. We want to work on phrases, but sometimes people work on moving into 2- and 3-word utterances too quickly. First, we want to teach single words, and then the children can use those words for requesting and commenting. In other words, being able to say cookie to get a cookie, or when they see a cookie on the table to let you know that they see the cookies. But once we get into 2- or 3-word utterances, we can use something called pivot phrases. The pivot word means that something stays constant while only one word is a variable or changes. So once a child has some consistent word approximations or even full accurate words, of course, we're going to add words for a 2-word pivot phrase. So for example, my stays constant. It's a pivot word. So my nose, my mouth, my toy. And then you can see that there are other suggested single word pivot words, like help to do something. Or you can use more here, but more can be usually overdone sometimes, as we talked about. Even the hi and bye somebody. We can even ask for things to be done like wash head, wash toes, or eat something, or draw something. Here's a little video of a dad working with his son with that pivot word open.
Let's pick a yellow egg. Yellow, good. What should I do?
Open.
Open, good. Your favorite. What's this? Car. Car.
Yeah, that's a hard one.
Car. Car.
Hey, it's yellow. That's a yellow car.
Da-da-da.
That's a baby car. Baby.
Baby.
Car. It's little. It's little.
So for that particular child, we taught the dad something called errorless teaching, where we cue before failure. So he asked the child to get a yellow egg, and the child was obviously going to the wrong color. He took his hand and put it on the yellow egg, and that's errorless teaching, making sure that the children don't fail at what they're being asked to do. And then helped them to say open. If we were really using open as a pivot word, we would say open egg or open the color, open yellow, and yellow might have to be an approximation. This is the same child and his progress working with Nicole Devins from the Caruth Center in Houston on the KSLP methods. She also pushed in literacy work as well.
My name is Sam. I'm 5.
Here, let's hold it up so they can see your cool picture too. Okay, so, yeah.
My name is Sam. I'm 5, and I love to ride my bike. My favorite sport is a basketball, and I love to play with trains, and my favorite food is biscotti.
Awesome. Nice.
And then we have to figure out that some of his favorites need to be worked on, like basketball and spaghetti, which are tough multi-syllable words. In terms of 3-word phrases, we can still use some pivot phrases. So these are phrases that stay constant while the child only has to then push in one novel word. We usually go to I want phrasing, but we really need to get away from too much of that, because then the children attach I want onto every utterance that they want to say. So how about I need, or I want to verb? How about can or may I have? Let me watch, let me go, like outside. Put away, put on, take off, help me. But these stay constant. The children can hang on to these phrases and remember them while only having to push in one novel word. Repetition is the key for success, and we need to gain a lot of repetition, which they call mass practice, on all of our targets. I want to talk about things to avoid or even to consider for sure. First of all, very often we are adding what's called a schwa. That means after final consonants, and we should not do that. So it's not boat-ta, it's boat. And it's not book-ka, it's book. And we want to make sure that we're talking to our parents about when we are emphasizing final consonants, not to add that schwa. We also want to avoid too much upward vocal inflection, because we ask so many questions to our kids, then they tend to use upward vocal inflection in everything they say. So we want to think about what should the child sound like, and then we should model how the word and phrase should sound without upward vocal inflection. Even when we're working on single words and we show a picture, we don't want to say happy, because it's not really a question, and they might respond happy, but we really want them to just say happy. We want to consider how the melody of that word should sound so that the children sound appropriate. And then they're avoiding over teaching. Very often we're working on some maybe final consonants, and then we do so much mass practice on one final consonant maybe the final t. So we're doing out and boat and boot. And we're doing so much of it that then the children overgeneralize and they think that that final sound should be on everything. And they might even say apple. So we have to make sure that we're not the reason that they are overgeneralizing. And we also want to pair ourselves, meaning we want that SLPs themselves may not be very exciting or interesting, and maybe the child has a negative history with an SLP in the past. So when they see somebody that looks like an SLP, they may run in the opposite direction. But if we pair ourselves with their highly preferred toys and activities, they'll be more apt to want to be with us. And that's the same thing for parents and caregivers. So in other words, instead of putting children under performance all the time, especially when we're first meeting them and we first start working with them, we basically just want to be the giver of good things and just give them things freely and have fun with them, then start pushing in some performance-based tasks that aren't so difficult so that they can have success, and then we can get into more on our speech motor tasks. And we also don't want to forget to give them cues for support, auditory, visual, tactile, and that's a full conference in and of itself is about cues. We are doing what's called the KCC, Kaufman Children's Center Small Talks, and I will be providing one about cueing techniques, and that will be on our website soon. I already do have one on our website already about using single words and phrases. There's also some on our website about some of the gross motor activities for children. And we don't want to forget to provide enough of our cues so that we then fade them. Very often I'll see parents and caregivers and they're giving the child every single word with every single cue every time they want the children to speak. But then the children won't learn to be spontaneous and accurate, so we have to fade cues. Here's an example of a little boy named Ethan who explained to me only with sign language that he didn't want a little prize, he wanted a big prize. But he was fully capable of saying, I want a big prize. And I re-scripted his attempt.
When we're done, we get to go to the big cabinet and get a big prize.
Yeah.
Yeah. All right.
Nope.
You want a big one, not a little one? I
want
a
big
prize. All right. So that's another example where I don't know sign as well, but I knew what he was conveying, but he did it without talking. And then re-scripting that, I want big prize. So that's very important for everybody to be doing with Ethan.
And the reason that you see me talking to the camera is because I do 4-day intensives with children from other states and countries. And the parents are observing through a one-way window while we're also recording the session. And I like to teach and coach right while I'm working in therapy with each child. And then here's another example of how a parent is working with the child, first on some syllable shapes, and then we're going to get into some more pivot phrases.
No.
No.
Let's put on our nose. Put. You say put. Lizzie. Put. On. What is this? Nose. Put on the nose. S instead of a Z. Nose. Do it again. No. Nose. That's a silly nose. Is that a silly nose? We're modeling correctly afterwards. Okay. We're doing nose. Yeah, nose. Okay. It's a lot. You're doing great. Okay, Lizzie, this is a bottle. 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 Nice job. What is it? What is it? It's a bottle. Good job. Oh, Lizzie, can I hug your teddy? No. Oh, you get to hug it? Okay, you say teddy. And you know what we can do too? Teddy. And you can tell Mommy, I. Say I. You say I. Hug.
Daddy.
Oh, good job.
And here is our Lizzie some more about scripting her utterances.
I And what is it? What is it called? Oh. Go away, big green monster. That's I. This. You have this book at home? I can't believe it. A big red mouth. I. A big red mouth with sharp teeth. I love this book. Let's see now. What do you see? Ears. Ears, and they're little squiggly ears. And scraggly purple hair. Purple hair. Go. I like that, but I want to hear the go. Oh. Scraggly purple hair. Let's do go away ears. Oh. Go away ears. And I want to. Okay, sure. Let's open the box. Nancy. What's my name?
Nancy.
What? What? I don't know what you're doing. You're just showing me your tongue and your teeth. Is your teeth wiggling? Is your tooth wiggling? Ah! So it's going to maybe come out. And you're going to put it under your low. Say pit. And maybe get something from the tooth fairy? What might you get?
Money.
Oh! That would be so fun. If you're happy, it's a mouse. Wait, what is it? What animal is it? It's a mouse. He's going to touch his toes. If you're happy and you know it, touch your toes. Tell me, mouse. Touch. Make your mouth regular and say toes. Turn. Not nern. The
bird.
And if you're happy and you know it, shout, hooray! All the animals are going to shout, hooray! And tell me, animals. Shout, hooray! Hooray! Ooh.
Okay, and then sometimes we'll have a group of children and we can do scripting with music.
Look at this, we have a boat. What is it? It's a boat. And we have a train. And you guys can go choo-choo. Choo-choo. And we have a car. And we have a plane. Amazing, nice participation today. So remember how Miss Lisa taught us? Boat, train, car, plane, boat, train, car, plane, boat, train, car, plane.
We're going on a...
Which one? Boat? Okay.
We're riding in a boat today. We're going in a boat today. Everybody shout, hooray! We're going in a boat today. Here we go. Boat, train, car, plane. Boat, train, car, plane. Boat, train, car, plane.
We're going on a choo-choo train. Okay.
Going on a train. Ready? We're going on a train today. We're going on a train today.
Get ready.
Everybody shout,
hooray!
we're going on a train today. Here we go. Can you say dino?
That. dinosaur.
Good job.
What are you going to say? Dino. You got it.
Close your eyes, what will it be? Now open them. Open them up, what do you see? Let's lift it, lift it, lift it. It's a rainbow. Nice job.
You want to go?
Say the new
I want two. Prize.
What did you get? Maybe want to show me.
And then tell
Come over here and show me.
Christina that you need a frog. I need a frog.
What color is that? My favorite color. Do you think you should put it in? Okay, good job.
All right, come on.
Then what did you get?
Stand right there. Throw it on that trampoline.
Take your head.
Wait, you want a prize? Tell me, I want two. Hello.
Wow. What'd you get?
My turn.
Well, like this.
Emmy, come stand over here.
Shake, shake, shake.
Drop
See?
it right here. Drop it.
It's a clapper.
Oh, try again.
Stand right.
Okay,
You can see her. Please. Okay, wait. Third line. You're first, Emmy. Take one ball. Throw it in. Yay! Get another turn. Try one more time. Throw it in. Woohoo!
All right, so that's all about scripting and for the children to know what words are we working on and how to get them through some music therapy. All right, we also want to get into naming actions. So we can name function, what do you do with? What do you do with a bike? I ride bike. Or actions, what do you do? What is the boy doing? And maybe boy ride bike, just subject, verb, object. And maybe there'll have to be some approximations of some of the words. We can use some action pictures, photos of the children doing different actions, but each word may still have to be an approximation, and we're going to continue to work on those toward perfection. We don't really want to teach much beyond 3 and 4 word combinations until the child is ready for more grammar, but it is important to move forward on word combinations and then continue to work on speech motor clarity. So another way to work on some pivot phrases is to have them, we can change the subjects. So instead of I want and then the third word is the variable, we can start with different subjects being the variable. And then, for example, we're going to show Kai with some objects, and the first pivot phrase is blank go down, and it's somebody going down the slide. And we chose some characters that have simple bisyllabic names, such as maybe it's a pony or it's Minnie, and then they also have those NY knee pivot syllables that stay constant so that the children can learn lots of words with only having to change up one syllable. So knee stays constant, bonnie, money, ernie, Minnie. And then we're going to do a blank go night night, blank go potty, and blank go car.
Let's see, here comes Ernie. So we can keep the same go down, and we can do different 2-syllable words. Tell me, go. Okay, have Ernie go down. Whee! And here comes the po. And we can have pony go down. Whee! And tell me po. Good. What did pony do? Tell me again. Po. Po. Pony go.
And this little girl has some difficulty in any kind of structured therapy. And I think her mom was getting frustrated because it was really tough to get her to participate. So I asked her, hey, what is Kiara's favorite item? And mom says orca whales. So we got out a SeaWorld toy, then tried to figure out a pivot phrase to use, like in water, and then she was more happy to participate.
What about orca? Are you going to put orca in the water?
What?
Are you going to put orca in the water?
Yeah.
Well, tell it, orca.
Orca. In water.
Good job. What about turtle? Are you going to put turtle in the water?
Mommy.
Fish in the water? Then you tell me turtle in?
In water.
Okay, throw it in.
Orca.
In
Water.
Oh, very good. You want Nancy to go in the water and say?
So now she's just the point to me, and that's very minimal communication. But I know what she meant, and now I can anticipate what was she trying to say, and then script her in.
You.
In water.
Oh no, good.
And then we could get into put away for all of those little animals. Put away orca or put away turtle, and get lots of practice in. All right. So we also can get into real life activities with subject, verb, object, getting ready for school, and we can get into a put on pivot phrase to get dressed. Put on, you can even put a my in there. Put on my shirt, put on my pants. Or getting ready for bed, we can do take off for each item of clothing. Setting or clearing the table would have the take off, or wash something, or put away an article from the table. Also, there could be a toy box. We can take out the toys and say take out each toy, take out horn, or take out bubbles. We can play with them. I play bubbles, or I blow bubbles, I blow horn, and then put them away. I put away horn, etc. And the reason that we're not pushing in articles like I put away the horn is just because it's adding a little bit too much motor planning for children who struggle to speak. And remember, we wanted to stay originally with about 3 or 4 words max. But once the children are more ready, we're going to work more on grammatical skills. And then also going shopping, we can take things out of the bags, we can put them away, and we have more pivot phrases to work on in the natural environment. And this is from my workout book. I have lots of little sequence story narratives with the Mutt family of dogs. The Mutt family dogs' names were chosen because they follow simple bisyllabics like happy bunny tummy types of words, which I find is a very pivotal syllable shape that once children can put 2 different simple syllables together, they seem to go ahead. And of course, there's no research behind this, but they seem to move ahead more quickly. So I named the dogs simple bisyllabics like Patty, Heidi, Toby, Mona. But this one's Patty wake up, Patty go potty, Patty wash hands, Patty brush teeth, Patty put on clothes, and Patty eat food. Anything that's a complex consonant is in parentheses because the children may not be stimulable for those complex consonants when they're first learning to speak. And so we might have to replace them with a natural phonological process, or we might have to delete them, but that's why they're in parentheses. There is a rare genetic disorder that we've just found out more about, and some of the children with set BP1 also have childhood apraxia of speech. And there have been several children who have performed very well with the KSLP methods. And so here's one success story of child with set BP1. This is Nicole Devins, just an extraordinary SLP from the Caruth Center of Houston, Texas.
Dada.
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 Who is it?
Mama.
Dada.
Papa.
Dada.
Dada.
That's right. Who is it?
Papa.
Dada.
Dada.
Good job. It's Dada.
Oh.
Horse. What does a horse say? Neigh, neigh.
Nana.
Neigh, neigh.
Nana.
Good. Neigh, neigh.
Nana.
What does a horse say?
Papa.
Neigh, neigh.
Nana.
What does a horse say?
Nana. Nana.
Good job. What does a horse say?
Nana.
Good job. Horse says neigh, neigh. Here we go. Honey pot.
Honey
Pot. I need to hear your big boy voice.
Pony.
Bunny hop.
Pony ride.
Pony ride.
Pony ride. Happy day.
Happy day. Who can do it? Who can do it? Say,
No.
it is going to be knock.
No.
Woo-hoo! One more time.
No.
You said, knock, 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 knock.
Banana.
Hey, John, is it still super hard or is it getting kind of easy?
Start eating.
It's getting kind of easy. You've been working so hard. Okay, hold on. What do you want? Tell me.
I want.
The dollhouse chair?
Yeah.
So tell me.
I want the house. Down.
Chair. I think you've earned it. I think you've earned it. You are excited.
I want the house.
You want the house? That's the food. What is it?
I want food.
Oh, bite and blow. Food. Okay, there's.
And here is our friend at age 11.
What else did you enjoy about the choir concert?
I sang.
And what else?
I sang 9 songs.
9 songs. That's a lot of songs. Which one was your favorite?
Let It Snow and African Noel.
Let It Snow and African Noel. I love it. All right. So we can script more language, the language of games. My turn, your turn. I need that one. I don't need that one. Language of the playground, of school, of church or synagogue, birthday parties, and more. I do have a webinar through Apraxia Kids called Childhood Apraxia Speech Practice to Play with the KSLP Strategies. That would be interesting if you want to learn more about how to do the KSLP methods through play. And then here's Sanders. And Sanders came for a 4-day intensive. So I have been doing video consultations for many, many years. I have been a SLP for more than 40 years. And so I'll see a video and I will consult and collaborate with the parents and the speech and language pathologist. And sometimes the children come to Michigan for a 4-day intensive. So this Sanders came for a 4-day, but ended up staying for 3.5 months. And I want to show you some of the sequence of how he progressed. But this is just Sanders and the language of games. All of his family members were together. And he was practicing the gut and go, the N and no. He needed vowel accuracy and he needed to have some negative scripted. So I wanted to show you what did he sound like when he was 3 and his first day, and then show you his progress through the KSLP methods.
Nice. Hey, where's your dad today? Where's Dad?
What?
Is he at work?
Hey.
Yeah. Did you drive to Michigan or did you come in an airplane? Yeah. How did you get here? Mom, how did you get here? Airplane! Yes, did you get to look out the window? What did you see out there? You saw clouds? Yeah. The sky? Were you up high? Was it noisy? Yes. Oh my goodness. What's she riding? Yeah, a motorcycle? Do you know Curious George? What kind of an animal is that?
Blue.
It has a blue hat. What kind of an animal is it? Is it a horse?
Oh.
What is it? Do you know who George is? He's monkey? Yeah, he's a monkey. I knew it. Do you have any pets at home? You do? What pets do you have?
Yui.
Yeah, do you have a dog?
Oh.
Do you have a cat?
Oh.
Do you have a hamster?
Oh.
Do you have a frog?
Oh.
How about a turtle?
Ui.
You do?
Yes.
Okay, and you have 2 brothers. What's your brothers' names?
Da.
Yeah. And what are they doing right now? Are they at school? Where are they?
Yes.
They're at school.
Oh.
Are you at school?
Oh.
No, you're here with me in Michigan. Oh no.
Yes.
Right, and then here's a segment of Sanders with his family, his mom, dad, 2 brothers, and they had expressed to me that they never really played games together, and now they had a format of how to work on speech, motor, and language skills together as a family.
Let me say it. Tell Gordy it's his turn. Say your turn.
There it is.
Oh wow.
You just get one. I wonder if it's gonna be a monster. Oh my gosh.
I'm with the monster.
What is it? What is it? Show us. What color is it? Tell the monster to go away. Say go away. Where's that?
I was hoping I would get one.
Say go.
Away.
Let me hear the go.
Away.
Away.
Okay.
Say away.
Away.
There it is.
Is it your turn now?
No.
Or Mac's turn? Mac. Your turn.
Oh!
Come tell us what color the monster is. I think it's a blue monster. Let's see. What color is that monster? Tell me what color it is. Okay. Is it a pink monster?
No.
It's not.
I told you go back.
Do you need another bed?
No.
No. How many beds do you have? You have 2 beds?
Tell Mommy.
I have to bed.
Wow.
And this mother really was wonderful at enjoying being coached and did a lot of work to carry over these skills at home. And this is Sanders at age 9.
Hey, Miss Nancy. I'm writing this book called Zip It, Unzip It, and it's about when I couldn't talk, and I hope you remember that, because it's about when I couldn't talk, and you made me talk. But now I'm talking way too much. Bye.
Oh, I miss him. Okay. So we want to coach our parents to not just be asking question after question, because sometimes that's intimidating to children and they may not want to play, but to make some comments. So if we teach such words as maybe the bunny wants to hop, or I wonder if the zebra is hungry. Look, the lion is napping. Wow, this cat's licking the bowl. Hey, there are no hippos. And if we start with those types of words to make a comment, children may be more likely to chime in. Could do an absurd statement like, what would happen? I wonder what would happen if the dog climbed on the table. So I think the child will now enjoy opportunities to create language and to chime in spontaneously. So I do have a conference through Northern Speech on my methods in detail, and then we talked about our practice through play through Apraxia kids. And then I have included some simple activities for home practice, and you can also find them on our website. But I do have the workout book, which provides lots of opportunities to move from words to simple phrases and sentences. And then I like to do video consultations, and now I'm going to probably be doing them more live and virtual, especially when an SLP is working with the child and they're really interested in the KSLP methods and in collaborating with me. But we can do this in a fun and educational way in our consultations. How to best implement the KSLP methods. We can tweak the child's goals. I can answer questions and concerns and demonstrate more techniques. So there's more information about these video consultations and virtual consultations on kidspeech.com under Video Consult tab. Have fun! be excited and laugh together. I'm so happy to have decided to do this opportunity to teach during our Better Speech and Hearing Month and our Apraxia Awareness Day. Please feel free to contact me with any questions or concerns, and I would love to help in any way I can. I hope that you found this presentation helpful and functional. So hope to see you in person someday soon. Everybody stay well.